I wrote A because rate of change on its own is a concept, but B because that is something underneath rate of change as a whole concept. Okay, so rate words, this is the thing where I said put an asterisk next to it or highlight it. These are the most common, but they aren't the only ones that are used. They are just the most common. Make sure you're marking this and annotating as you see me annotating, mainly for the fact this is where our mistakes come in. Get your pride out of the way and realize the teacher is trying to help so you can be a better student. Any questions? Looking at example number 1, it says for each situation, define an independent variable and then find the rate of change. Determine if the slope is increasing, decreasing, or constant. So Kelly gets paid $51.50 for working 5 hours and $119.50 for working 13 hours. So what variable goes with independent? What variable goes with independent? Not up here, actual variables. You only have 2. What are the 2 variables that we use? What was that, Brandon? X and Y. So which one goes with independent? X. Thank you. We need to write that in. Aaliyah, make sure you're writing in. It's not going to magically appear, and unless you're watching this video again, which I highly doubt anyone is on their free time because the grades would show differently. We need to be writing it in while it's live, yeah? So, based on what we just wrote for independent, what needs to go with dependent? Thank you. Thankfully, erasers exist. You can make all the mistakes you want. Just make sure that you go back and fix them. What's important to make note of? What 2 things are being compared in the initial question? Just your actual units. What 2 things are being compared? Think of units. What 2 units are being compared? Hours and what? Money. Those are units. What's money's typical unit? What's money's typical unit? Money is counted in dollars. Wow.
Yeah, I got the dollars.
And what's typical time units?
Time. Clock.
Hours. What's another one? Minutes. What's another one?
Seconds.
Seconds. Those are the 3 most common time units. Does that make sense? So what's the typical unit for money? Dollars. What's the 3 most common for time?
Hours, seconds, and minutes.
Thank you. So when you see those are called units. It's ways that we count actual objects. Does that make sense? So if we're looking at between hours and money, which one do you believe is the independent variable? Which one affects the other one?
Hours.
Hours affects how much you're being paid, right? So that would be hours. Making the dependent variable what? The money, right? So the amount she's being paid. Can you grab that for me, Brandon? Thank you. Well, good morning. Girl, you know we here. We here. In, right?
Yeah.
To find slope, I need 2 what? Starts with a P. 2. Starts with a P, as in pony. To find slope, you need 2 Points. Do I have 2 points on here?
Yeah.
What would be my first point? 51.50, comma, what goes with that? Not quite. It should be 5. But is the X my hours or my amount paid? Hours. So, should it be X or should it be Y? X. So, should it come first or second? First. Because how do you write ordered pairs? X and Y. So, shouldn't it be 5, comma, 51.50? Because ordered pairs are written as X and Y. If you don't remember that, I would write it up top, okay? That's something to recall. Make sure you're writing that in. We remember from our daily grades before we got out for Thanksgiving break, a lot of what we were missing was because you said you're too proud to write down that extra. But I'm not too proud to give you a 0 for not knowing how to do the work. You see how it balances? Crazy how that is. What's the other point? 13 goes first. How do you read that? 119 and 50 cents. There we go. $119.50. We're going to learn how to what in this class? Read. We are not about to sit here and say good enough. That's not good enough for me. Any questions? What do I need to do to this in order to be able to plug it in? What's the first thing?
X, Y.
What were you trying to tell me to do? In one word, you're telling me to. It starts with an L. Label. Thank you. So what am I labeling these?
X, Y.
X what? X.
No, Y2.
X. What are we missing? X1, Y1. Thank you, Ian.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And this is why we're recalling it, yes?
Yeah.
This is not new. We're just adding words to it. What's the next one? Great recall skills there, Ian. I appreciate that. So if I'm plugging this in, what needs to be written first? What goes before that? M equals, because I'm looking right at the top of this page, yeah? This is also a recall. That is also a recall. None of that is new. This is all retesting and reviewing what you already know. So, M equals has to come first because that's what you're finding. So, what needs to be written after that? There we go. 0.50, correct? Behind that? Nuh-uh. Minus. Because I'm following right up here, Zai. Look up. Look up. This is what I'm following, yes? Then follow that. Don't guess, okay? Recall. So, what's after that minus sign?
51.50.
Perfect, because that's in the place of Y1. Then? Over. Then? 13. Minus 5. So what's being typed in first? Honey, what? 119.50 minus 51.50. I don't know what was happening, but I'm glad we reached the destination. Everyone typing that in. If I could type it in, so can you. If I can type it in, so can you. This is how we learn. This is how we prove. This is how we get better. And how many of you want to get better? There you go. So you have to show me. You can't tell me. You have to show me, right? What'd y'all get?
68.
So we have what?
68 over.
Over. What am I typing in?
13 minus 5.
Absolutely. Typing that in. You ain't gonna see mine. Y'all ain't that sneaky. One thing about me is I'm gonna see.
See what?
I have mine cut off completely, so that way you can see I'm typing it in, but you ain't seeing my answer. That way you can prove yours.
Oh.
Yeah. You realize I've been doing this the entire time. If you go back and watch any video where you see my calculator, you will never see my actual answer on the side. The reason why is because you should be typing in along with me. What did y'all get?
8.
So, do I need to type this in? Yes. If I get a decimal, what do I need to do?
About what? Oh. See what I got you the answer.
Everybody get a chance to type it in?
Yes.
What'd you get?
17 over 2.
Perfect. So 17 over 2 is the number I'm looking at, right? But that's not what I'm going to write here, because does that say slope or does that say rate of change? So which means I have to put it in what?
Slope.
In
Word.
words. So you can't just write that. We have to write it in what? Words. So what goes on the top? X or Y?
Why?
Y. Because didn't you just write y2 minus y1 at the top? Don't it say delta y right there? So what goes on the top with confidence? Y. So what goes on the bottom by default? Thank you. What goes with y down here? Amount what? Paid. What goes with x at the bottom? Hours. So how would I write 17 in terms of this unit? So 17 what? Absolutely. $17. Everybody still with me? And you can use any one of these three words. Does not matter. You pick. What do you want to use? Per, each, or every? Per, that's fine. Per, what's at the bottom of the fraction? 2. 2 what? 2 hours. Does that make sense? If you don't know that, you can write this up top. That way it helps you. Y over X equals money over hours. So from here, I need to leave this as a decimal if I want to find the unit rate. So out here to the side, I'm going to write 17 divided by 2. But we don't have to type that back in, do we? Because doesn't it give us the decimal already? So what's my unit rate? 8.5. Or 8 point what? 50, because we're talking about money, yes? Unit rate means that the X is always what? The X is always what? I'm pointing to it. 1. So this is 8.50 over what?
1.
So writing the unit rate is just like the rate of change, except what needs to come first this time? It's just the same, but what needs to come first this time? What's in the place of the 17?
8.
So what comes first? So how would I write it with the actual unit? How did I read that? So how would I write that? $8 and what? We're learning how to using the same word. What comes next? Per what? Per hour. So, is this slope increasing or decreasing? How do I know it's increasing? But also, the slope is what in one word? The slope is what in one word? It can either be this or this. They're exact opposites of each other. One starts with a P and one starts with an N.
Positive.
Positive or negative? Is that slope positive or negative?
Positive.
So positive means it's what? Going up. It's increasing. So that's how we know, right? But you see how Gavin's answer still wasn't wrong? Because the more hours you work, the more money you'll get. Every single time. I was just looking for a specific word. That's it. His reasoning was spot on. Any questions? This is not complex. You just have to what? Read. But also, what's the other R word? I wrote it at the top of my paper. Did you write yours? Recall. So you need to highlight that and make sure that you know it. Because all three of these pieces are not new. All I did was add 2 words in words. That's it. Look at B. Michael earned an 82 for answering 3 questions incorrectly on his test. He earned a 46 for answering 9 questions incorrectly. What variable goes with independent? X. So what goes with dependent? What 2 things are being compared? How many what? Questions that are what?
Incorrect.
Thank you. Incorrect questions. And then what? The score itself, right? So which one of those are the independent? Which one's affecting the other thing? Incorrect questions, right? So that's independent. And what's being affected? The test score. So, what do I need in order to find my rate of change? What do I need to make? I need to make 2 points. What's the first point? Thank you. 3 and 82. What's the second point? 946. What do I need to do next? Before that. Even before that. Label. Putting what? What goes with 3? With 82? With 9? With 46? Then I write what? Thank you. What goes first? Y2, which is 46. I heard that. Then? Minus 82, because that's Y1. Then? Over. 9 because it's X2, minus 3 because that's X1. Any questions there? What's being typed in first?
46 minus 82.
Mm-hmm. 46 minus 82 gets you?
Negative 36.
Y'all get the same thing? Yes, no? Everybody got negative 36? What's next?
9 minus 10.
What'd y'all get?
6.
Do I need to type that in to see if it simplifies? Make sure you're typing in, babies. Make sure you're typing in along with us. What'd y'all get?
Negative 6.
So how would I write this as a rate of change? But you have to use words. So what does that negative mean? What's happening? But what's happening to the actual, what's that mean? So moving this out of the way, you're comparing what two things? How would I write this as a fraction? Thank you so much. So what's at the top? Which one of these two? No, which one of these two? The y, which is the what? So how is that negative 6 relating to that test score? What's happening? Thank you. So is he gaining or losing 6 points? So he's losing or loses. How many points? 6 points. For what? For?
One question.
You don't have to say that. You can say every what question? Incorrect question. That's what it means by writing it in words. You're able to form a statement based off the numerical data that you found. Does that make sense? Do I have to change anything from my rate of change to my unit rate? No. What tells me I don't have to? Because it's over what? 1. Isn't the unit rate over 1 to begin with anyway? So can I just rewrite the same thing I wrote here, right over there? Let's do that. Because how would I describe this slope in one word? Negative. One word. One word, Zai. One word. Going down is 2. Any questions? If you're that person that's like, how does she relate this to that? That's where it's coming from. What does it say up here? Read that for me. Single what?
1.
So what does the denominator have to be?
1.
So we don't know that. Can we write that in? Let's write that. Denominator has to be 1. Meaning, an example, I don't care what number's at the top, the bottom has to be 1.
Okay, I get it.
Now, Zai, was that a hard little extra piece to write in? No. I know denominator is a hard word to spell, but don't worry, that's why you have me.
I don't like that. You got
Sounded on that thing.
You do. Denominator, it's said exactly how it's spelled. It's not like we're saying the word no and knowing that there's a silent K in the front. So, any questions there? Does it make sense? All right. C. Somebody read it for me.
I just read something.
I don't need to hear all of that. Somebody read. Okay, Jordan, thank you.
Tiffany travels 4 miles to school on Monday, and she travels 4 miles to school on Wednesday.
Thank you, sir. What variable goes with independent?
Try.
What variable?
Miles?
What variable? We're learning how to and
Listen.
other R word. Recall. I mean, respect goes in there somewhere, but we're talking about read and recall. What variable goes with dependent?
Why?
Thank you. What two things are being compared? Miles and distance, right? But isn't distance and miles the same thing? So what's actually being compared? Distance and time and what? Time and days. Because what's the first day? What's the second day? There we go. So, Monday is technically what day of the week? The first day for us, right? So that's day 1. What's Wednesday?
Middle of the week. Third.
The third day, so it'd be day 3, right? Which one of those would be independent? Days. Because time is always independent. Do we recall that? If we don't, we need to look back at our notes from right before we got out for Thanksgiving break, because I recall writing that in with you. So which one is dependent? Miles. What do I need to do to find my rate of change? What have I been doing?
Rate of change, label.
Before that, what are you labeling?
Y'all use for pie? You see,
What am I having to make? What did I have to make the last 2 times?
numbers.
9 equations. I need to make ordered pairs. How many of them, sir?
4.
2. Thank you so much. So what's the first one?
4.
I disagree.
I'm at L.
No. 1.
4.
4. Where did that 1 come from? The first day of the week, Monday. Where'd the 4 come from? The miles that they traveled on Monday. So now that we know that, we can recall to write the second one, yes? So what's the second one? 3. And what? Thank you. Where'd the 3 come from? Wednesday, the third day. And where'd the 4 come from? 4 miles she traveled on that day as well. Any questions? Now what do I do? Label. What's why am I labeling on 1?
X1.
On 4?
Y1.
On 3?
X2.
On 4?
Y2.
What do I do from there?
Let me do this.
M equals?
M equals 4.
Uh-huh.
Minus
Minus.
4.
Thank you. Then? Over?
Over 3.
3?
Minus 1.
Great job. What's being typed in first?
4 minus 4.
Let's do that then. What'd y'all get?
0.
Over. What's being typed in next?
3 minus 1.
Make sure you're typing in along with us. If the teacher can do it, you can do it. And I'm doing a lot more multitasking than you are. I'm watching the room, teaching the lesson, typing the actual numbers with you, and writing along. Making sure that you know what you're doing, right? So your one job is to participate and prove. The 2 P's. Everybody get it typed in? What'd you get?
2.
Thank you so much. Should I type that in? Yeah, let's do that. Give them a second, child. Just a second. Hi, hi, hi. Everybody get a chance to type it in? What'd y'all get?
0.
So what do I need to do with the 0?
Write it in rate of change.
Write in the rate of change. How would I write that?
0 miles.
The thing is, using words. What does that represent?
Days. 0 days.
Not quite. Because are we reading?
Yeah.
What goes on top? Reading. Did I move the page anywhere?
No.
Yeah.
No, I did not. I moved my calculator from right there to right there, but shouldn't yours also say miles?
Yeah, I got that.
So we're just not reading.
Come on,
That's it? We're just not reading? No. That's what it's giving. So we're not illiterate, we're just not doing it. That's what it's giving. So from here, what goes with 0? Which one of those two? Miles. So how does that relate to the actual scenario?
It go first.
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, I don't know. I know.
So what does that mean? If miles are at 0, the rate of change is at 0, what do you think is happening? I'm hearing someone say something stays the same. What stays the same?
Oh, the miles.
The miles stay the same for what? For every day. Because shouldn't the distance change at all? Think logically. Is she walking from the same place every day? To the same place every day? So should her distance change? So the miles do what? You just told me. Stay the same for every day. And this is what I'm going to add, as your teacher. Or she travels the same what every day? Same distance. Does it matter which one you choose? But am I showing you both ways it could be interpreted? That's the whole point of teaching. Both answers are correct answers. It's about how you would interpret it. Any questions? The question here is, should I change anything for my unit rate? Why not? Because how was this written as a fraction? And the unit rate, the x always has to be what? So, can't we just write the same first sentence over here? Let's do that then. And don't cut no corners. That's our problem now. We go, well, I can just summarize it. And your grade is also a summary. How would you describe this slope?
The slope will be,
Look back at your initial example 1. Read what it says your options could be. Look right at the top. So where it says example 1 up here, thank you. Because it's not changing, is it?
oh yeah, I do that.
They gave you 3 choices. And it's right there.
Oh yeah.
Any questions there?
I need to underline that.
Yeah, we probably want to underline this stuff. Do me an example. Do number 1 for me, please. Do number 1. It's on the practice. Flip it for me. Flip it. It's this one right here. Do that for me. I ain't laughing. I'm just chilling. Do number 1, please. You ain't got that much time. Hurry it on up. Don't you be wasting my time now. I did not know I got a parakeet in this class, because every time I think that I said something, it repeats twice. Doing this problem for me, please, and thank you. My examples are on the board, but yours should match mine.